The Constitution didn't necessarily grant us permanent freedoms, it initiated them. It is up to us, everyday American citizens, to preserve those freedoms. If we do not, the bureaucracy will eventually use a permanent marker to black out the Constitution and then help our children forget that they ever existed. For this reason, we must not be careless, negligent, or ignorant toward our duty to the Constitution. We must instead be aware, informed, and even proactive. One of the best ways to preserve our freedoms is to maintain our individual independence. It's simple math. The more we depend on the government, the bigger government becomes, which equals less rights. Here are a few examples to prove that. In the case of our children, let's look at where they spend most of their time. Most of their time is spent at school, then with the family. And I'm not saying within the home, because obviously they spend more time there. I'm saying with the family, the people within the home. They spend more time at school. And then when they come home, they prefer games, movies, and sleep. Believe me, I would know that firsthand. But this is also aside from homework and assignments that they may be doing at home. So let's go backward a little bit. Where do they spend most of their time? At school, while they're being taught certain things that you may disagree with as a parent, such as the topics of abortion, premarital intercourse, same-sex marriage, other certain morals, and whether you should or shouldn't believe in a God. And I'm not saying that any of these issues are right or wrong necessarily. All I'm saying is, why is the government involved in the first place? Before I continue, I just want to throw out there a quick little theory, and I will talk about this in the future, definitely. But I have a theory that someday the world in general will not necessarily argue whether God exists or not. They're going to argue whether it's relevant or not to even believe in a God. And I think the fact that our schools here in America and even around the world are teaching our children so much of evolution to kind of break down the importance of the Creator God. It's just a theory, but someday I will definitely talk about that. But isn't it obvious that Uncle Sam would involve himself in all of this for an obvious reason? It's because he knows better than you do as a parent. He knows what's best for your own children, such as how much they should weigh, what morals they should have, what religions are better than others. Because see, when they proclaim evolution, then they are basically saying that the student who does believe in the Creator God is silly, and they cannot prove their point because they don't have the science. In any case, why is the government predetermining what your child believes in to begin with? Shouldn't that be left at the home? But it doesn't stop there. If a social worker considers discipline as abusive or harmful, they have the legal right and authority to go within your home and take the child away. And I do recognize that there are some legitimate cases for this. But the fact that they have this kind of power, at the very least, should provoke us to be concerned with what might be going on, because there is definitely some abuse. On top of that, I personally know a family very well. I've known them over a year now, and I've visited them at least once a week. They're going through a hard time. A mother had her younger son taken away, and it's just sad that it was based on some other accusations from other people. But I don't want to give any other personal information from them, but I'll get to the paperwork where it shows what I'm talking about. I'm going to quote from the paperwork. It is from the Superior Court of California, County of Los Angeles. The petitioner's professional qualifications. I am employed by the Los Angeles Department of Children and Family Services. By virtue of my education, training, and experience, I am qualified, authorized, and currently assigned to conduct child abuse and neglect investigations. I am currently assigned to investigate the case involving the child named above. I make this declaration in support of any application for, and look at this checkbox that's marked off, an order authorizing entry into the residence in which the child is located for removal detention of the child. This is basically proving to me that the government has these kind of powers to just sign off on paperwork and thereby having the authority to go within your home to take the child if they feel that your child is in an unsafe environment. But why is that the case? Well, it's obvious, because Uncle Sam cares for the safety of your child. Here's another example. Uncle Sam doesn't trust you with your own safety. During this lockdown, you will see that this government is willing to rip out our freedoms, even if it's temporary. Why? Because they don't think we can manage on our own. That's why we can't meet in church on Easter, of all days throughout the year. That's why we can't even sit in a McDonald's and enjoy a meal. And I've already explained before that I'm willing to comply with certain guidelines. But I'm willing to do that without them needing to rip away my freedoms too, you understand? And on top of that, what we're not hearing from anywhere else is that they are also ripping away our independence. They are basically saying, you must trust us because we can't trust you with your own safety. You aren't responsible enough. And if you don't submit to us, we will hunt you down. That is a legit quote from the mayor. He said he will hunt us down if we do not comply. This is the kind of power that they think they have, and they essentially do if we let them. They're going to tell us what to do, all in the name of safety. When in reality, we should really be independent enough to take care of our own safety, let the government take care of that which it must on their end, without overstepping their boundaries and taking away our freedoms. How about Uncle Sam caring for your mental, emotional well-being? They have taken away or flat out ignored certain facts because they don't want us to be inflicted with harmful information. Didn't you hear about those 2 ER doctors in California? YouTube even took down their video. The video was simply about the restrictions in that county being too harsh because of the data that they had. The data that they had showed that certain restrictions weren't necessary, and that those restrictions were even harmful to the community. And what did the local leaders say? We don't agree. We'll wait on the governor. That's what it came down to. And this isn't the first time that something like this has happened. Go watch video number 4 that I have up about California and rent control laws. See the exact numbers for yourself. Most Californians during the 2018 midterm elections voted that they did not want rent control. And what did the governor and his little people do? They passed Assembly Bill 1482. Why? Because no matter what the little voices like me say, Uncle Sam always knows better. Go watch video 4 for the details and you'll see what I'm talking about. But this isn't the way our democratic republic was meant to be. We the people are supposed to be in charge, and we've lost that greatly. How do we get it back? Well, I've always encouraged you to be informed because that's the way to make better decisions, to take better action. But also, we must learn to be as independent as possible. Learn how to recognize whether your local or even federal government is overstepping the boundaries. What I said in the beginning is true, and in this case, the opposite is also true. The less government we depend on, the smaller our government will be. I say all of this to get to one big question. So, Uncle Sam very much so wants us to depend on him, while he, at the same time, depends on big banks for money and other countries for resources. So here's a question. If we depend on Uncle Sam, but he depends on big banks and other countries, then who would we really be depending on?